Now, one of the latest Democrats voicing concerns comes right from our backyard. Illinois Congressman Eric Sorensen is making calls for President Biden to step down. And we are joined now by the congressman from Washington, D.C. Thank you for joining us.
Good morning, Devin.
And so let's start off. Why are you calling on the president to step down?
Well, first things first, I believe that Joe Biden is a good man. I believe that he deserves accolades for his service to our country over decades. And today, I believe that he has the ability to leave his legacy intact. And my decision isn't based on a debate performance or his interviews or press conferences. It's actually based on conversations that I'm having with my neighbors and the people in this district. The people of the district brought me here today to Washington to get the job done. And we have differing opinions. We all do. And that's okay. It's healthy. But, being president is the toughest job in the world. Standing on the stage with Donald Trump, that's a cakewalk compared to what he's even done with NATO here in Washington this week. But the people have told me, and I believe it is not too late, to make sure that we've got someone, the right person, who's not just capable of taking us through the next 4 years, but someone who can win against all of the threats against democracy.
So specifically, what did you see personally that led to your decision?
Well, personally, I'll be honest with everyone. I think of my mom and dad. My mom and dad are right around the same age as the president. And every time that I go and see my mom and dad, I see them older than they were before. And it's hard. It's sad. And I don't think it is cognitive decline, or maybe it's just age, or maybe I'm not a doctor and I don't know. But I certainly know that we are in a crossroads in our country. We need someone who is going to be able to be a leader, not where all of us in America are waiting on bated breath for the next debate performance. We need someone who is going to give us that feeling. I remember, voting for previous presidents and having that feeling that I was doing something in that voting booth. We need the next person to be able to give us that feeling that our best days are ahead. And right now, I think that's going to be someone different.
So that leads me to my next question. Who do you support stepping into this role?
I think, look, I've talked with the Democratic leadership. I've talked with our governor. I've talked with senators. And there are several ways forward. There are options for, of course, Joe Biden to stay in this race. It is his decision. Also, there is a possibility of, I think of the next person, Vice President Kamala Harris, who I have worked efficiently with in this role as a member of Congress. But then also we have a Democratic convention coming up. We have a process as we look at counting delegates. And, I think that there are many people. It's not just one person in this country who can beat Donald Trump. There are many.
So you serve Central and Northern Illinois. So talk about how critical is this time for what our area needs?
Well, I'll tell you that our conversation here today means I'm not talking about, the things that I'm doing for veterans. It means I'm not talking about the Stop Fentanyl at the Border Act, which I introduced just yesterday. We need to make sure that the person who is the representative in this district is working for all of the people. And that's why it took me so long to be able to come to you today and talk with you about this, because this isn't a flippant decision. I have to make sure that I'm doing right by all of the people, not just the people who voted for me, not just the people who have a Biden-Harris sign in their front yard. But we have to make sure that we're making the best decisions for everyone in this district. And I'm so honored that I get to work in Washington without a background in politics, and I can work with both sides of the aisle to get the job done.
All right. Thank you for joining us this early morning, Congressman. And again, we will be continuing to stay up to date.
Have a good weekend. Thank you, Devin.
You too. All right. Time.